I'm excited to talk about the time I spent the year watching Lupin the Third. The push for me to get into Lupin the Third is the fact that it's one of the earliest franchises in anime that's targeted for adults. Also, animators like Hayao Miyazaki and Isao Takahata have worked on the first series, Part 1. Franchises like Lupin have not only paved the way for anime, but also influenced Western animation. Lupin the Third started as a manga, created by Kazuhiko Kato, or his pen name, Monkey Punch. The premise follows Arsène Lupin the Third, who is the grandson of Arsène Lupin. He's a thief that steals anything that is valuable, exquisite, or just for the fun of it. He also has his team that helps him with his missions. Daisuke Jigen is Lupin's right-hand man and a sharpshooter with accurate aim. Goemon Ishikawa the 13th is a skillful samurai who can cut through anything that crosses his path. And Fujiko Mine is the femme fatale who is Lupin's off-again, on-again love interest. Lupin's main enemy is Inspector Koichi Zenigata, who makes it his life mission to arrest Lupin. Over 50 years, the formula of a Lupin the Third episode goes like this. Lupin and his team have a mission to steal something, but then they're faced with a threat that gets in their way, or Zenigata tries to stop Lupin. An epic chase ensues. Either the team wins or lose. The reason Lupin remains to be popular is the characters and the adventures we see them get into, especially with the various animation styles, the Japanese and English actors, and the incredible music score from Yuji Ono. Let's begin!
Who wants chicken nuggets?
The pilot film was made with the intention to get funding to produce a full-length series of Lupin the Third. The pilot was based on a manga chapter, Camera Tricks. It was a great start to introduce the characters and what their motives are. Lupin, Jigen, and Fujiko are surrounded by Inspector Zenigata and Goemon, who was originally an enemy of Lupin and was determined to kill him. In the end, Lupin uses masters of disguises to escape himself, Fujiko, and Jigen out of the mansion. The animation is rough, yet effective. Again, this was a test pilot to see if people were interested in funding this project. It's straightforward to the point of what Lupin the Third is, and that's all you need to know. The series was originally directed by Masaki Osumi for the first 5 episodes. The direction of the show was changed, and the rest of the episodes were directed by Hayao Miyazaki and Isao Takahata. I guess for reasons that the show was too adult for a show that had an adult demographic in mind. There are still funny and serious moments with Miyazaki and Takahata taking direction. I like how the animation is neat and has great fluidity in certain scenes. I watched the subbed and like each of the performances. I would also watch the dub later, which is jarring for the cast because they acted more serious than usual. I appreciated the efforts that they put into it, but I still think the sub is more appropriate. The stories can range from serious threats, stealing treasures, and some emotional connections. My favorite episodes is Lupin Burning, One Chance for a Prison Break, The Gang's All Here Playing Card Strategy, The Emerald Secret, and The Big Golden Showdown. I enjoyed those episodes for the interactions between the characters, and seeing Lupin and the others get away puts a smile on my face. Again, the show was the first animated series in Japan to be targeted for adults. Ratings were shaky and most people didn't like the mature tones, resulting in the show being considered unsuccessful. Yet, the reruns of Part 1 would result in Lupin continuing to tell stories to this day. Overall, I thought Part 1 was actually nice. It made me appreciate the old style of animation, but frankly, the beginning for this franchise. Lupin is faced by an unknown being named Mamo. This one was a trip. This movie starts off with Lupin being hanged from execution to running through an explosive island. Artistically, this movie is really beautiful. One of my favorite scenes is a sea full of colorful butterflies flying. But the story just got more and more out there, with Mamo having a bunch of clones of himself to sending a giant brain into space. I thought the ending dragged a little bit too long, and I still have no clue what the heck happened when I watched it. Oh yeah, something I want to mention, this movie mentions that Zenigata has a daughter, and ever since they don't bring it up again, so I don't know, does Zenigata have a family or not? Still, this is one of the most particular Lupin projects that I've seen. I was highly anticipated for this one because it was directed by Miyazaki, and this, by many Lupin fans, is a classic. Lupin unlocks the mystery of counterfeit money, which results in him saving a princess from the Count Cagliostro. Now, I absolutely love this movie. With Miyazaki directing, everything was treated with such care. The animation is remarkable, colorful, and expressive. After 40 years, it still looks so smooth and fluid. Miyazaki has also made everybody look so pretty. Pretty boy Lupin, pretty boy Jigen, pretty boy Goemon, pretty boy Zenigata. The story is nice, along with the action, adventure, mystery, fun, and chaos. Castle Cagliostro was a stepping stone for Miyazaki to become the world-renowned storyteller in animation, along with creating Studio Ghibli with Isao Takahata and Toshio Suzuki. This movie also influenced numerous animators, directors, and the Disney Renaissance. The entire clock tower scene in Castle Cagliostro is responsible for the Big Ben scene in The Great Mouse Detective. And that alone is why this movie is amazing. Of course, Castle Cagliostro is one of the best Lupin movies and one of the best movies in general. It's amazing how something this charming can still be beloved by many people, all thanks to a gentle thief. Dare I say the most iconic Lupin the Third series?
Hey! Huh? Get your hand off my nipple!
I, Goemon Ishikawa, say to you, ha ha!
It's friggin' careless, Lupin. How many times do we have to friggin' warn you? But you had to impress friggin' Fujiko. It isn't that friggin' ironic now.
You gotta see this.
I'm not even a freaking woman!
Oh, well, nobody's perfect.
This time around, we're in the Red Jacket era. Instead of mature tone, the crew decided to take things more in a kid-friendly approach. There are numerous directors in Lupin Part 2, including Hayao Miyazaki, who will be involved in 2 episodes. You can tell by the way that the characters are animated and the references to Miyazaki's future projects for Studio Ghibli, like Nausicaa and Castle in the Sky. The animation would take on various styles that would also match with the show's humor and adventures. Over time, though, it does improve and looks incredible. It amazes me how many sequences in animation for the 70s they were able to pull off. While they're trying to be kid-friendly, I think over time they did try to get back to their serious roots, because you'll get an episode like Lupin Has Become a Bride, where Lupin dresses himself as a woman and gets engaged to the enemy to get his treasure, and then there's Goemon's Close Call, where Goemon is being tortured by a cowboy who wants to know Lupin's secret. I did watch the dub for the sake of its humor and how the English cast would become the definitive actors voicing the characters. Unfortunately, they weren't able to finish the show due to licensing rights, which sucks! Apparently there were more episodes recorded, but once they lost their rights to dub the show, either they scrapped them or they're just lost in translation. I'm not sure if they're ever going to finish dubbing the remaining episodes, but it would be nice. As for the English cast, the main actors were a perfect match. Tony Oliver has the stinker attitude of Bugs Bunny and the smooth, cunning tone of James Bond. His performance as Lupin is just absolutely perfect for the character.
8 million is the offer. Do I hear 16?
You cheap sons of bitches! I'm worth at least twice that!
Richard Epcar originally wanted to stay behind the scenes while working on Lupin, but no actor was able to capture that voice for Jigen. Naturally, it works for the best with his straightforward and badass delivery.
Hey, Lupin, just wake up, man. This is Fujiko we're talking about here, and that bitch would sell us out for cab fare.
Michelle Ruff clearly knew what she was doing when voicing Fujiko with her sex appeal and comebacks.
Ciao! You can keep everything that falls on the ground.
Lex Lane is an excellent choice for Goemon. He may not say much, but when he does, he is truly a scene stopper.
Judging from the size of it, I would have to say he dug up all of Yoshitsune's gold and then hid it in his ass.
Dan Logé as Zenigata is also a role I just can't stop laughing at.
Thanks, but I'm not that guy any longer.
Huh?
I still get the best of both worlds by enjoying the English and Japanese actors. The Japanese actors would be the key actors who would continue to voice on their characters until their retirement. Yasuo Yamada as Lupin the Third, Kiyoshi Kobayashi as Jigen, Eiko Masuyama as Fujiko, Makio Inoue as Goemon, and Goro Inaya as Zenigata. It was great to see the glimpses of the characters' past, their interactions with each other, but I loved the many scenarios that Part 2 was given, and I was not bored with any of the episodes. Okay, maybe that cat one, because that was just nothing. Fun fact, episodes 100 through 104 were all fan submitted as part of the show celebrating its 100th hit, and I think that's really cool. Another thing I enjoy about the show is how endearing the gang can be. I think about the episodes like Jigen helping this woman get her painting back, or Goemon waiting in a hospital as a young girl gets eye surgery. I love seeing a side of the gang being kind. Even thieves can have hearts too. My favorite Jigen gets involved with a woman episode is a tie between The Face of Goodbye at the National Board and Do You Know Shakespeare. It's hard to pick just one when Jigen had such great chemistry with Monica, yet there was something about him and Angelica that made the relationship more personal. I think out of all the women, Angelica was the one that got away, and it's pretty heartbreaking that Jigen can't have a happy ending. If you can't tell, Jigen is my favorite character. A grumpy, skillful sharpshooter with a soft spot who enjoys the job he does with the gang. There are a lot of episodes that I love in Part 2, so here's a shot of them. My personal favorite episode is Lupin Dies Twice. It's hilarious for Lupin to prepare for his last days as he's about to die, but sad for Goemon, Jigen, and Zenigata who react to Lupin's death, clearly showing that Lupin is cared and loved for even if he is an idiot sometimes. I also love the funeral director. He's my favorite one-off character in the entire franchise.
Don't fool with me, young whippersnapper. I'm in no mood. Now you get out of here right now, or this time I'll bury you for real.
When it comes to the best opening and endings of the show, I absolutely love the second and fourth opening of Lupin. The first opening is the blueprint for the Lupin themes to have various versions in the decades. The best ending is the third one, Love Squall. That song is so beautiful and it hits me emotionally every time I hear it. Overall, Part 2 is truly entertaining towards the end. It surprised me with its humor, sentimental moments, and excellent stories for Lupin and the gang stealing any riches that they can get their hands on. We enter into the Pink Jacket era. The director for Part 3, Yasuo Aoki, wanted to have the same storytelling similar to Part 1 where it was gritty but appropriate for families to watch. In the second half of the show, the gritty elements drop but will still have serious moments in storytelling. Still, Part 3 is full of giggles and ridiculous antics. As for the animation, it's weird. When I watched the first episode, I went, this looks like if Americans attempted to make a Lupin series. The style would change and become more cartoony, which reminds me a lot of characters you see in the Smurfs or Frosty the Snowman. I don't know why, but I appreciate the creativity of not following the rules. It is one of my least favorite parts of Part 3 though. The animation isn't perfect, but I love the neon pastel colors that they use. The show screams 80s, and this is a Lupin that you want to do drugs with in a nightclub bathroom. I got over the character designs halfway through the show, which actually became more better and hilarious. I could not stop laughing at the episode Our Papa is a Thief, which just kept me in stitches. Oh my gosh. Some of my favorite episodes are The Man Called Shinigami Garb, The Name of the Cocktail is Revenge, A Night Under Marital Law, and A Famous Picture. The best way to describe Part 3 is, let's screw around and have fun. I thought it was going to be awful because I don't hear a lot of discussions about this series compared to others. It's not bad, I think it's okay and that's fine with me. I love the opening and ending songs, which are catchy and mellow. This will be the last series of Lupin the Third until we get to Part 4, so for the next 30 years we branch out into TV series, movies, and OVAs. Goemon is getting married to Morisaki, but the wedding is cancelled when the Fuma clan decides to kidnap the bride-to-be. To get her back to safety, the clan wants to shoot a vase, which leads them to hidden treasure. It's up to Lupin in the game to save Morisaki and stop the Fuma clan. The animation in the OVA is impressive. It is brought back by the same studios who have animated for DuckTales and the real Ghostbusters. Everything was detailed and had great movements in sequence. Unfortunately, the animation was too good that it took the entire budget away from the voice talent. The producers for the Fuma Conspiracy stated that the actors who played Lupin characters were expensive, but also didn't like the performance of Yasuo Yamada gave as Lupin. The actors who they did hire for the Fuma Conspiracy were actually fine. They didn't give bad performances, but I did miss the original actors and the traits that they put in their characters. Thankfully, I wasn't the only one who noticed this, and even back then, fans had stated the change as well. The English dub for the Fuma Conspiracy is not that great based on the clips I've watched, which is why I want a petition for a redub of the Fuma Conspiracy, because it deserves one. One of my favorite scenes is when the bad guys inhales the hallucination gas and they see the many faces of Lupin. If the original Japanese cast was in the movie, I definitely would have loved the OVA more. It's got ninjas, wild-ass car chase scene, seeing the interactions between Goemon and Morizaki, and so much suspense for the gang to be inside the cave to look for the hidden treasure. Overall, a very fun time in the name of holy matrimony. Lupin and the gang help Zenigata destroy a weapon smuggling location while kidnapping a Russian physicist to help diving a submarine. The story was fine, I kinda lost focus during it. The animation is standard and the music score is great. The 89 theme of Lupin was amazing and I was happy to hear the original Japanese cast back again. There's also a subplot where Jigen is getting set up with Karen, but we all know how that story ends. To wrap it up, Voyage to Danger was fine, and I'm happy that the team is able to set up their plans for retirement. This would be the last that I would hear of Isao Yamada as Lupin, to which I'd like to take the time to honor his involvement. Looking at articles and clips, I found myself admiring Yasuo as he is passionate about Lupin and seemed very friendly towards everybody. Funny enough, he kinda looks like Lupin the Third if he was a real person. His portrayal of Lupin was snarky, clever, humorous, and affectionate. I will learn while recording Voyage to Danger he was dealing with hypokalemia. It's sad that he's gone when he took the role of Lupin to heart. I also like to mention that he has a wonderful singing voice, and the song Memory of Smile is a beautiful song that gets me teared up because life is not fair. I'm glad that Yasuo did what he loved and his contributions to Lupin the Third will not be forgotten. Moving forward, the current voice of Lupin the Third is Kenichi Kurita. He is the successor of Yasuo Yamada as he passed away. However, you can't hear Yasuo's voice in the trailer for Notre Dame, which was meant to be his last performance. Kenichi definitely respected Yasuo's take on Lupin and carried that with him, but still making it his own.
それよりいい加減に話せって藤子が狙ってる5000万ドルのお宝をよ。藤子ちゃん、僕頑張っちゃうからね。
As for the movie, oh my gosh, this animation is outstanding. The animation studio TMS also worked on Warner Brothers cartoons in the 90s, which explains the cartoonish antics and movements, along with the music score sharing the similarities of a Looney Tunes cartoon. I love how the earth building is built, with the colors. Overall, this movie looks so polished and fresh. As for the story, it has multiple layers to follow, so bear with me. We have to save the daughter of a famous politician who is threatened to drop out of the election by a group of terrorists who use mind-controlling bracelets on women and the Brazilian soccer team by the orders of a man who runs a cult under the name of Nostradamus, who wants to get a hold of the famous politician's vault containing a very valuable item, all because the girl took the doll that contained a precious jewel that Lupin stole. I know the premise is crazy, but it is so incredible to see everything play out in the end. It's a brilliant movie to see the gang be the gang with extra elements that makes the movie more entertaining and wild. Jesus Christ, this one was so violent and cruel. It was intense, to say the least. Lupin goes to the island where the Tarantula is located. Tarantula is a group of murderous assassins who are controlled to kill because of the tarantula marks on their hands. Also, they can't leave the island or else they'll die from the poison that they were injected with. On the island, Lupin and the gang want the tarantula to go down, take their gold, and find out who owns a silver Walter P38. We also get introduced to Ellen, who is one of the girls in the Lupin specials. I'm pretty sure her design was based off of Mokoto from Ghost in the Shell. Ellen has a great backstory, and seeing her join with Lupin is one of the best parts. Speaking of, the animation is different from the other Lupin projects. I'm not a fan of it, mainly for the colors and the lighting was not that great. I did enjoy the interactions, but also Zenigata was not in this one as much because he died. I meant he flatlined for 10 seconds so was brought back to life because he heard the name Lupin. Not even death can stop Zenigata from getting Lupin. His burning desire to arrest Lupin left him getting injured again and again. The story is fine and Goemon had the best parts. I think the special is decent. Lupin faces off with Michael Suzuki, who has the possession of rare photographic plates. In the next few days, the team embarks on what Suzuki is up to and how his plans are bigger than they expected. I love this special so much, along with the new girl, Moreira, a journalist who has Raven Vision and is the best character in this special. The animation is incredible. One of my favorite scenes is Lupin getting chased by a shark roller coaster, which is animated by Hiroyuki Imashimi. I also like how bigger of a role Zenigata gets in this special by helping Lupin with Suzuki and his bond with Moreira. This also has to be one of the best interactions that the Lupin cast has ever had. I absolutely love seeing Jigen and Goemon getting together and the relief they get from their own dilemmas. Look at this man after he got his sword back. This is the happiest I've ever seen Goemon. In the end, Tokyo Crisis is one of the best Lupin projects that exceeded my expectations. There's hidden gold under Alcatraz, and we faced off with the Society 7 who wants that gold. They also insinuate that Alcatraz has connections with John F. and Robert Kennedy. Something I didn't think was possible, but okay. This would be the start of Lupin being animated digitally, so the animation has the 2000 style, and all I kept thinking about was 4Kids. The beginning has an excellent sequence, and the fight scenes are pretty cool. I also love seeing Zenigata having to expose his new partner. He's just too good to be a cop, god damn it. And teaming up with Lupin to find out the truth about the Society 7. It's a typical Lupin adventure, but it's still fun with the usual antics ensued in San Francisco. It's the origin story of how Lupin, Jigen, Fujiko, and Goemon met. To see how their paths would result in them meeting one another was interesting, and only made me smile to know that they would have countless adventures to come. It's straightforward story-wise along with the animation. There are some fun bits I liked, and the soundtrack was actually great. This one's short, but I don't want to explain too much about the story, so I think you should see it to believe it. For the epic return of a past character in the Lupin franchise, this was pretty lackluster. Pescola is back and wants to gather these special crystals to give himself more power. Lupin won't let him get away with it that easily. This OVA is nothing interesting and could have been something great. Also, their use of CG in this one was painfully obvious and not that good. There was a brief montage moment that contained all of Monkey Punch's illustrations from the Lupin manga, and that's the only good part about it. I don't remember much besides Goemon fighting all these other professional fighters and Jigen dealing with allergies due to these flowers that had some special meaning. I would recommend this one. Instead of stealing treasures, Lupin and the gang must return the stolen treasures as his dead rival revealed to him where the trick diamond is located. They also gotta stop this diamond from being found by a guy named Rats, along with this Russian agent who I think they had a love affair between two. I don't know, that part I just did not care for. This one's full of fun antics of returning the treasures, along with each of the members of Lupin having their own moment to showcase what makes them special. I really like this one because how it was animated, their fighting sequences, and the big ending, which was really wonderful. Will the real Lupin the Third please stand up? This OVA is more like Into the Lupinverse. There's a series of fake Lupins, and a man named Yasuo also wants to join in on the fun. Basically, every Lupin media exists in this universe, and all of these Lupins are battling out to become the next Lupin the Third. I enjoy how they let everything go wild with the countless references, having Yasuo, the character, be named after Yasuo Yamada, and the animation kicking things up. Also getting to see unhinged Jigen as he jumped on that helicopter. My god! The car roof scene right here is one of the best things I have ever seen animated. I have no clue what I witnessed when I watched Green vs. Red, but I know I had a damn good time watching it. Family All-Stars is a fun one, because it deals with Fujiko, Jigen, Goemon, and Lupin trying to figure out what the heck is going on as they're all in this mansion. I like it because once again it showcases their interactions and dynamic as a team and why we still continue to watch them after all the years. This would also be the last time we get to hear the voice actors of Fujiko, Goemon, and Zenigata as they get new actors in place. Fujiko will be voiced by Miyuki Sawashiro, Goemon is voiced by Daisuke Namikawa, and Zenigata is voiced by Koichi Yamadera. I think Daisuke and Koichi sound a bit more deeper than their counterparts but still keeping the same tone of their characters. Miyuki totally sold me on Fujiko. I will praise more about her later on. Eiko Masuyama did a wonderful job with Fujiko being desirable and outsmarting the men with her beauty, though she swindled the guys at times. She still made me care for Fujiko at moments. Makio Inoue as Goemon still remains deadpan but also expands on his ranges and providing one of the most wonderful performances. If I can't think of a better actor performing a character, it is Goro Naya as Zenigata. He manages to make me laugh and cry in his performances, and no actor could ever capture the loud comedic tone of him, especially when he screams Lupin. Lupin is on the search for a mermaid scale, but a girl named Maki wants to be Lupin's apprentice as she wants to be a thief just like him. The mermaid scale is the key to immortality, to which the bad guy wants to get a hold of it and is keeping Misa captive to lead him to the statue. It was super cute seeing Maki be persistent in joining Lupin and finding the mermaid scale. It also adds in showing the sweet side of Lupin being a father figure to Maki. The animation reminds me of Maramo Hosoda films, but it wasn't directed by him, so I wonder which studio they worked with. The story gets deeper as we look into the mermaid scale, along with some twists that left me disgusted and stunned at the same time. Overall, this was a fantastic one to watch. I saw Sayo Yamamoto as the director and I knew this was gonna be amazing. I love Sayo Yamamoto as she was responsible for directing Yuri on Ice and creating Michiko the Hatching. The show is completely different from the previous Lupin series. Instead of Lupin being the main character, we focus on Fujiko and her backstory on who she is before she got involved with Lupin and others. I cannot tell you how much I was invested in this show the moment the opening was playing. I was amazed by the classical music along with the speech Fujiko was giving and the numerous imagery of her. The animation is artistic beauty, taking inspiration from the manga and styling it to match the tone of a noir film with its shadows and dim colors. This is the most aesthetically pleasing series from the entire franchise, and that alone is the reason why you should watch it. To see how the characters would meet each other and how they would change the course of their lives make me so happy and intrigued by their engagements. For Lupin and Jigen not to see eye to eye with each other at first will cause Jigen to distrust women, and the interesting connection with Goemon and Fujiko that they share when they cross paths. This is also the most sexual of the franchise. Toonami was considering airing it, but due to the nudity, they couldn't get past it with censorships. It's one of those cases where censoring is definitely going to limit the story, but I also thank Sayo for allowing Fujiko to take ownership in her sexuality. These stories are mature, dark, and uneasy to sit through. We see throughout the missions that we uncover bits and pieces of Fujiko's past. I'm really trying not to spoil anything, but understand that this show and its imagery is lovely. Miyuki Sawashiro was amazing as Fujiko. Her performance gave such elegance and purpose similar to Eiko. I absolutely love her so much, and this series was a great start to showcase the talent that Miyuki would bring to Fujiko. My favorite episodes are .357 Magnum, The Lady and the Samurai, Living and Singing, Living in Love, and The Woman Called Fujiko Mine Part 1 and 2. I was tempted to watch the dub, but I couldn't bring myself to do it because I found out Zenigata was voiced by Richard Epcar. And my mind can't separate the fact that Richard's voicing Zenigata when he's already perfect as Jigen. Not to mention this Zenigata is cursed, and I never want to see this version of him ever in my life. You are not gonna look me straight in my eyes and let me accept the fact that Zenigata Yeah, that scene, I'm not gonna lie, I had to step away for a moment. I also found the character Oscar to be complicating and I wanted more explained from him. Did he have more an infatuation with Zenigata or Fujiko, or both? What was his motive towards the end? I don't know, they never really go further on that. Anyways, this is a one-of-a-kind show that I like seeing in anime. If it wasn't a Lupin project, I still would love this show because this is not what I'm used to seeing before. I'm not sure what is considered canon in the Lupin franchise. Heck, I don't even know what's canon with the origin stories of everybody. This show was eye candy to look at, and it captures the story in an adult way with no boundaries and brought out the emotions of a complex character like Fujiko Mine. The character designer from The Woman Called Fujiko Mine, Takeshi Koike, will create a different universe of Lupin the Third, which is more darker and grittier than anything else that I could have imagined. The trilogy starts with an assassin who makes graves for his victims before he kills them. Jigen is in danger and it's on the hunt to kill him before time runs out. Also, this special did Fujiko so dirty. They let her get captured naked in a glass box where multiple men are seeing her oiled up and possibly getting screwed by a giant sex robot. The thing is, there was no fucking purpose for this to happen to Fujiko. The story is fine, but nothing really caught my attention besides the animation, which was really incredible. The style definitely fit for the tone of the story that I was going for, which is really sharp, grim, dreary. It was perfect. Also, there was this last scene that had to connect it all together to Mamo from Mystery of Mamo, and I had no idea what was happening because I was not given subtitles in that scene, so I want to assume something was connected, but I have no clue. It was a fine project and I enjoyed it, but whoever wrote and animated those scenes for Fujiko in this special definitely deserved to be punished, because what the hell was that? Goemon has to face for an epic battle with a giant Paul Bunyan after he couldn't save his Yakuza boss. He goes through a series of punishment and misery while Lupin, Jigen, and Fujiko only stand by to watch Goemon be treated like a crash dummy and grocery store deli meat. The last time I've seen limbs removed and blood splatter like that was when I watched Afro Samurai. The animation was detailed and the action was awesome in this. This is the best out of the trilogies, probably because of the bloody and brutal scenes. Literally, Goemon is treated like deli meat and it is one of the most gruesome things that I kind of enjoy about this OVA. I was reminded yet again that people like Miyazaki, Yamamoto, and a handful of others can properly write for Fujiko. Fujiko has to watch over this kid who has to code to his father's bank statements. The two are on the run from bad guys, and one of them is a man who eats nuts and possesses spooky powers with sand. I think Lupin and Jigen were there to help, but again, I can't remember because this was mainly a fan service for Fujiko. The only scene I liked in this was Lupin and Jigen in the car smoking together. It's their conversation that reminded me why these two are always going to be partners in crime. I don't like the trilogy as a whole because they try to connect everything towards the end. So was that part of the plan, or did they just forget midway and wanted to connect it to make a miserable souffle? Each of the OVAs could have been treated better as their own story, but no, let's just tie it all together. Stupid! To rank the trilogy as a whole, it definitely goes Goemon Blood Spray, Jigen's Gravestone, and Fujiko's Lie. Overall, the trilogy was pretty okay. A new Lupin the Third series after 30 years, and it was everything I wanted and more. Okay, off the bat, the opening of Lupin Part 4 is absolutely outstanding. The way that they animate the opening with the cool 3D effect and an updated Lupin theme, which is my favorite. I must have watched this theme at least 100 times, and I would keep watching it to hype myself up when I got into the Lupin franchise in the first place. The Lupin gang are back together to celebrate Lupin's marriage with Rebecca Rossellini, a young entrepreneur and major celebrity in Italy. The premise will follow them going on adventures in Italy, along with the investigations behind MI6 and facing off Leonardo da Vinci. Just believe me on that. I want to appreciate the performances from the Japanese cast and the music. They were spectacular, and the show had great episodes for each of the characters to shine and provide great delivery in their lines. I learned that when it came to dubbing the show in English, they were given the Italian dub. I'm not sure why, but it isn't a Lupin project if you don't have Yuji Ono's composing. Ever since he joined in Part 2, Yuji Ono has been responsible for scoring Lupin, and no track in the soundtrack is dull or boring. He even revamped some of the songs from Part 2 to make them bigger and better for Part 4. It is a bummer when you watch the English dub, you don't get to hear the soundtrack, but it's okay. I would also get to watch it in English as the Part 2 cast will return back with the addition of Doug Horse as Zenigata. Dan the Ghost was the original voice actor for Zenigata in Part 2. This might be a hot take, but I actually like the fact that Zenigata had a sheriff's drawl to him when catching Lupin. For some reason, that's how I envisioned he would sound like in English. And while he still captured the same traits that Goro Naya did when he was voicing Zenigata, he was one of the best parts of watching Lupin Part 2, and I will miss him.
Lupin, you can't hide forever! I'm gonna have the last laugh!
Doug's approach to Zenigata is completely different, but I absolutely appreciate that classic detective tone, and he also shouts his Lupins perfectly.
Anybody? Won't anybody come here to save Lupin?
Both the Japanese and English casts were fantastic. I absolutely adore the animation. It has a specific style where the lines are apparent and the color palette is so beautiful. The character designs are also great, especially Fujiko. Still, I love this version of Lupin the most. Mainly for the episodes that get to see Lupin and the gang interact with each other, reminding me once again why the series is so long lasting. Some of my favorite episodes are With the Gun in My Hand, Lupin's Day Off, To Hear You Sing Again, and From Japan with Love. My personal favorite is the end of Lupin the Third. It's a remake of Part 1 Episode 4 where Lupin's in prison and Zenigata ponders if Lupin will suffer or slip away in the last moment. Showing how these two enjoy the thrill chase with the payoff towards the end that had a big smile on my face. For the gang to go in their separate ways until the next adventure is the perfect way to end this chapter of Lupin the Third. Before I even got involved with Lupin the Third, I heard people refer to this Lupin where he invests in Bitcoin. Turns out this is the one where Lupin gets into modern technology. Now the concept sounds ridiculous, especially since Lupin didn't want to gain much attention as a thief. We get introduced to Ami, a hacker who can access anything she wants by saying hello underworld. There are new characters, including Albert and Goro Yatagarasu. Listen, whoever decided to create Yata deserves the world. He's what Oscar could have been and will never be. I absolutely love seeing someone join on Zenigata's side on a wild goose chase for Lupin, but also admiring Zenigata for his beliefs of what a detective must do. The main premise contains 4 stories that involve a game on who could kill Lupin, finding out the truth on a real Picasso painting and a black notebook, saving a princess who also has to protect her country, and a Steve Jobs psycho type creating a service that allows anyone to know everything and track their location. What do all these things have in common? They all pull a "is Lupin dead" moment, which loses its meaning after each of its fake outs. There are also filler episodes that are represented by the different colored jackets that Lupin wears. Another thing that the show did was reveal Lupin's secret when he professes his love to Fujiko. I'm not sure if they're trying to put a reference on green versus red or anything, but I still thought it was a sweet moment between Lupin and Fujiko, since their relationship is more than just lovers. Despite everything that goes into their relationship, I just feel like they can never be separated no matter what happens. I think the Lupin gang will always be inseparable no matter what you throw at them. I love most of the references and callbacks in Part 5. I love seeing Melon and Rebecca back. Enzo did nothing for me, and his conclusion was rushed along with the finale for Part 5. There were some good things about this series. I love the filler episodes, to see where Jigen had that standoff with the army, and to see where Zenigata expressed his need to chase and arrest Lupin. That one really got to me because it was more about arresting Lupin. He actually cares about that monkey-faced thief so much. The animation is good, the opening and end themes are incredible, and once again, the callbacks from the previous Lupin shows did make me happy. My favorite episodes are Zenigata's Pride and Desert Dust, her relationship with Lupin, introducing Detective Jim Barnett III, a 7.62M Magnum, and Zenigata Gentleman Thief. There are definitely some things that could have been fixed, but knowing that Lupin's now entering into the modern technology era in thieving, I think is really incredible. The gang are heading off into a kingdom to break out a prisoner. I love the animation style in this one. The story is entertaining to the last moment. Character designs are great. Story and the lore of the kingdom was incredible. The music is revamped again to become bigger and better. And oh my gosh, this series was so much fun. Lorenzo was an interesting character, and also Yata being in the Lupin franchise has to be one of the best decisions ever because he was absolutely hilarious in this special. Also, I want to see Joe Dynamite again. He was a riot. Prison of the Past brought back the same charismatic feeling I had when I watched Tokyo Crisis. I love this special so much. Everyone in this special was fantastic. There was excellent action, incredible story build-up, and I want a Reuben sandwich. Remember the first ever Lupin episode? Well, this is a special anniversary remake with time travel, visiting the past Jacket series, and the many references that celebrate Lupin the Third and its history. It's also great to appreciate the evolving of animation from Part 1 to now. Okay, not all of it. The whole point where Fujiko was trapped with those kissing lips just made me uncomfortable. The moral of this project is that no matter how far or forgotten the gang are, they are bound to each other to be good friends and do crime. This was a splendid OVA that paid respects from the start of a beautiful franchise that we know today. See, it's called the first because it's the first CG movie of Lupin. Get it? There's a special diary that contains valuable information that the Nazis want to get a hold of, but Lupin won't let them get away with it. He gets help in uncovering this diary with a girl named Letitia. I'm impressed by the CG in this movie. They're able to be stretchy and cartoony in a similar style that matches the humor and aesthetics of a Lupin the Third project. I'm so glad that it wasn't stiff and was flexible with their movements. I enjoyed the Japanese and English actors in the movie. The dub did their best job of trying to match the lips in this since it's more pronounced, and I enjoyed that. The story is good, and I like Letitia. She may not be the brightest, but she's completely sincere along with hopeful in her love for architecture. The Nazi plot completely threw me off because once I saw CGI Hitler, I'm sorry, I blacked out in that moment. I was like, this is not real. I did wish the other members had more screen time, but they definitely had their own solo moments towards the end, and that was really fun. I admire this movie for taking a new form of animation in a wild story that was really good. This is where we say goodbye to Kiyoshi Kobayashi. Kiyoshi Kobayashi was the only Lupin actor remaining in the franchise and was there from the very beginning of the pilot film in 1969. With the exception of the Fuma conspiracy, he was there for everything, saying goodbye to his old friends and making new ones with the second generation actors of Lupin. His age would affect Jigen's voice, but I still enjoyed it because Jigen's the type to get fed up with everything, especially with Lupin shenanigans. Even when you see Jigen angry and hurt, there are moments where Jigen isn't serious, which is really funny. I also found myself extremely emotional with his retirement, and the last time that he performed as Jigen was episode 0, The Times. For someone like Kiyoshi to be part of the franchise for the longest time, absolutely deserves a send-off like this. While it is a dedication to the character Jigen, it was also a farewell to Kiyoshi and his time for being our favorite sharpshooter. What makes me love his performance as Jigen is that Kiyoshi isn't afraid to be playful, which made me think a lot about how Yasuo enjoyed his role of Lupin so dearly. I'm glad he was able to say goodbye on his own terms and leaving decades of passion as a loyal actor to a loyal partner. Moving on, Akio Asuka is now the current voice of Jigen. It took me a couple of episodes to get adjusted to Akio since I was used to hearing Kiyoshi voicing Jigen, but Akio did a bang-up job in voicing Jigen, which made me happy. Part 6 is similar to Part 5 in story structure, where there are separate story arcs throughout the series that have a conclusion that ties everything up in the end. However, I like the finale in Part 6 more than I like Part 5. The first half follows Lupin teaming up with Sherlock Holmes to investigate Raven, along with proving Lupin's innocent and being framed for Watson's murder. The second half deals with Lupin's past catching up to him with a woman named Tomoe, Lupin's mother. We also get the side stories that are also fun adventures with the gang, or emotional backstories of someone's past. There are some nitpicks that I have with this part. They left out a lot of things up in the air, along with a underwhelming resolve and wasted potential in the Sherlock arc. What about the Raven, the treasure? I just want to know! While I did enjoy the side stories, I think 2 or 3 of them could have been used for the arcs to better explain story-wise. Now, I believe Tomoe was never Lupin's mother to begin with, and I kind of like to think that we don't want to know a lot about Lupin's backstory and origins since his identity remains to be unknown. I mean, he said he was French-Japanese in one episode of Part 2. I really like the openings and endings, but I also wish that the openings would switch because the black and red color scheme would have fit so much better if it was in the Witch arc rather than the Sherlock arc. Now for the good stuff. The animation was pretty good. Okay, the CG cars were a bit off-putting, but I have to applaud the animators for giving the characters distinctive skin tones. Because I've noticed the skin tones of Jigen, Goemon, and Zenigata have often changed to become more lighter, and I'm not gonna lie, I don't like that one bit. I don't know, it's something I'm really passionate about, so I'm kind of happy with this one. They're very distinctive and not the same. The lines are sometimes sharp and have a comic book effect to them. The gang's relationship towards each other is still great as before. I just love that they're together, regardless of what goes down. My favorite episodes are Last Bullet, Wedding Bell Rings with the Sound of Gunfire, Win or Lose in 0.1 seconds, My Mother's Documents, and What Crooks Love. I wish they didn't leave a lot of things unanswered, especially for the Raven stuff. I could care less about Lupin's backstory, but the Raven stuff I really wish I had more information on. But it was nice to know that the end of the series still remains, that their adventures will still continue on. So this is surprising. This short series is based on Lupin's origin story, was announced in October, and I thought I might as well add it to the list. Based on the Confession series in the manga, we follow teenage Lupin, who is not impressed with his family's legacy and wants to create a own path for himself. That all changed when he comes across a teenage Daisuke Jigen. Together, you see the boys get to know each other in daring missions along with school shenanigans. The beauty of the series is the show length. I think 6 episodes was perfect to tell this story. It was contained and got straight to the point on what the crew wanted to tell in Lupin's backstory. We also see the romantic side of Lupin when he encounters Yoko, a nightclub singer. With her stories and Lupin's attempt to save her pretty much explains Lupin's desire for women. Lupin the First and Lupin the Second totally explain where Lupin gets his mischief side from. Seriously, Lupin the First has to be one of the craziest characters I've witnessed. I knew the man was insane, but my god. I just want to shout out Shinobu. She is the coolest and a wonderful addition to the series. The animation is stunning in this one. They've made multiple decisions to pay homages to the other Lupin series and movies, along with the connections from their past experience. I also appreciate the callbacks and references that they made, which made me smile. I got so much references from part 1 especially that really made me happy. The voice acting was superb. I found Tatsuke Hanakata and Shinyuke Takeuchi to be excellent choices in Teenage Lupin and Jigen. At the center of it all, I had a fun time seeing the start of Lupin. One of my favorite parts is just seeing the friendships shared throughout the years. It seems like Lupin and Jigen were destined to work side by side. I can't think of a better way to highlight this duo and their dynamics, leading to a long-lasting partnership. In conclusion, Lupin Zero is a short, solid series that will show you the beginnings of Lupin the Third being the greatest thief that we know today. So that is how I spent my year on watching Lupin the Third. Everyone who has been involved with Lupin the Third in any way, shape, or form deserves countless flowers for their contributions to this franchise. A really big applause for the first and second generation of Japanese actors and the parts 2 and 4 English cast of Lupin the Third. More importantly, Kazuhiko Kato, since his stories will result in the franchise being what it is today. Do I think there's going to be an end to the franchise? I'm not sure. Lupin has been around for a very long time, and as we've seen throughout the decades, I don't know what's going to stop for the gang. I want Lupin the Third to remain to be grand and beloved by many people. As I'm recording this, there isn't an announcement of a new project of Lupin the Third yet, whether if it's a series or movie or so on, but what's the lucky number? 7? 8? If Lupin the Third somehow can manage to remain golden after those, I think we're good. Let's have a new color for Lupin the Third. He has like 2 different versions of blue. Did you know that Lupin was gonna have a yellow jacket in the Voice the Danger special? I want to see more of the gang teaming up, having fun. I don't care. Say what you want, but I just want to see these guys be together for so long, and I think that's what kept the franchise going in the first place, and that's why we keep tuning in to the next adventure. Whatever the future lies for Lupin the Third, I hope I can see our thief one more time just having fun. Well, who knew that it would be so much fun watching a group of people commit crimes and create lifelong memories along the way? Anyway, I've had such a fun time being involved with this Lupin franchise, and I can't wait for more to come. Thank you for watching my video. This is Olivia, signing off.